The moving truck pulled into Cambridge right about this time of year back in 2004, marking an anniversary worth celebrating. He's a regular guest on the show, and he arrived here on Delmarva 20 years ago.
Yeah, he had no idea back then he'd end up writing a bunch of books about the peninsula. So what has he learned over the last 2 decades?
Does he have any shout-outs to give? Lingering questions or anything on his mind? Well, let's find out. We've got the man himself here today, author of Secrets of the Eastern Shore, Jim Duffy. Happy Thursday afternoon to you.
Happy anniversary to me.
Happy
Happy
anniversary.
Duffiversary.
Duffiversary.
Duffiversary. Yeah, 20
Happy
years.
Duffiversary.
So,
All right.
feeling gratitude around the holidays?
Tis the season, right?
Yeah.
Tis the season for gratitude.
Yeah.
Just past Thanksgiving on to Christmas.
Exactly.
And when I think about being here for 20 years, there's like 10,000 people that I would like to say thank you to.
Oh boy.
And a whole bunch of them, before I forget this, are right in this building.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Because I'm still, every week when it's like, will you come on again next week? I'm like, really? They want me back?
You have no idea how much gratitude we have for
Yes.
you.
Oh, come on.
We look forward to you coming in every Thursday.
you.
But
Okay.
but there's a lot of other people outside of
Yeah.
the building. So like
There are.
tell me about
There
the
are.
antique tractor lady
The antique
from
tractor lady.
Ridgely.
Her name is Beverly Wise, and she was, when we first started this out, and we were making fools of ourselves all the time, and we didn't know what we were doing, and we were newbies. She was the first person we sent a product to, one of my wife, Jill Jasuda's pictures. We sent to Beverly, and ever since then, Beverly has been getting Christmas cards and buying my books, and I always associate her with all of those people who jumped on the Secrets of the Eastern Shore thing that we do super early on. She's a grandmother of 5. She lives in Ridgely, and she is obsessed with antique tractors. If you've been to any of the Christmas parades around here, or if you're going to one this weekend, you might see her because she has a 92-year-old Farmall tractor in pristine condition that she brings out to our Christmas parade. So thank you, Beverly, and everybody who jumped on the bandwagon early on.
Okay.
All right. So, the obsessive historians from Cambridge.
From Cambridge. Right after we moved, the day after we moved, I left my wife at home with a house full of boxes to unpack, and I went to something called the Harriet Tubman Discussion Group.
Okay.
That's John Creighton, who has passed away, may he rest in peace, and Pat Lewis, who is still with us. They did incredible things in researching Harriet Tubman and the Underground Railroad, and they would take us on these deep dives once a month into this episode or that episode. And they really started sparking my interest in the history of this area through the Underground Railroad. And they're kind of a stand-in for all these other people who are writing books and doing blogs and everything else, whose shoulders I stand on with the writing that I do. So thank you to them and to all the historians.
All right, moving on
All
to the
right.
Methodist minister from Onancock.
Methodist minister from Onancock, Kirk Mariner, Reverend Kirk Mariner, wrote books about the history of the Eastern Shore of Virginia. This is one of them. Now, as somebody who's written a couple travel books, I would like to tell people who care about the appearance of their books that this is what a travel book should look like. The coffee stains, the flipped over books, the old notes in here from when I went to Saxus and when I went to Oyster. If any of my books look like this on anybody's shelf, I will be proud forever. And Kirk Mariner was an inspiration because he did it with such a sense of fun and adventure. And really, when I got started and discovered him, that kind of set me on the path that I went.
Wonderful.
So I got some work to do to make
Yeah.
my book look like his. The people of Greenwood.
I had been invited, the Greenwood Library, to give a talk at the coffee shop, at the Amity Coffee Shop there. And it was the first time that I went into, as a come here, that I went into like the middle of nowhere, a farming town. And to be honest, I was terrified. And they turned out like the whole room was like packed with people, and they actually listened to me, and they actually came up afterwards and were just so encouraging and so complimentary. And that was the night that I realized that maybe despite my deep, dark fears, I actually can speak in public, and maybe I have something to say to people whose roots go back here generations. And so that's thank you to all the people who've come to the little talks that I give or watched this show and had an encouraging reaction.
Wonderful. Okay,
right,
so
all right.
20 years.
20 years.
Are there any burning questions or perhaps
There-
things that confuse you?
The wave zone. You've driven in South Dorchester County, out to Blackwater, out to Hooper's Island. So the tradition there when you're driving is that you've got your hand on the wheel, and when you're on these back roads in the middle of nowhere, a car appears every 5 minutes or whatever, and you raise one finger to say hello as they're going by, because you're in the wave zone. And pretty much everybody does this. But then I go other places. I'll go to Talbot County, or I'll be in Delaware. I'll be on those same back roads. And you do the wave zone, and like you can see people like, do I know you? Or other times you get the wave zone.
Yeah.
And so I never know when I'm in a wave zone and when I'm not in a wave zone. And perhaps some public works people could start putting up signs for me.
That
Do you
would be
think?
great.
That would be good. Tell me whether I'm.
Or if you see somebody with a Jeep, you know that's
Yeah,
the
yeah,
That's
Jeep
true.
or
victory.
That's
Jeep,
true.
yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. That's
I have a funny feeling we will get the answer before we see you again next week.
Oh, well, please share it with me.
We will, we will.
Please do.
Congratulations on 20 years.
Yes.
Here's to 20 more.
Filled with gratitude.
Happy anniversary.
Yay.